Hello, this is Miss Aguilar, and I'm going to be reading Hope Was Here. Chapter 1. Somehow I knew my time had come when Bambi Barnes tore her order book into little pieces, hurled it into the air like confetti, and got fired from the Rainbow Diner in Pensacola right in the middle of lunchtime rush. She'd been sobbing by the decaf urn, having accidentally spilled a bowl of navy bean soup in the lap of a man who was, as we say in the restaurant game, one taco short of a combo platter. Gib, the day manager, was screaming at her to stop crying, which made her cry all the more, which led to the firing and her stomping out the door, wailing how life wasn't fair, right in front of the hungry customers. That's when Gib turned to me. You want her job? I was a busgirl at the time, which meant I cleaned off dirty tables and brought people water and silverware. I'd been salivating for years to be a waitress. I stood up tall. Yes, I sure do. You're going to cry on me, fall apart if something goes wrong? And I saw right then if you're going to cut the mustard in food service, you better know how to handle turmoil. I straightened my shoulders, did my best to look like flint. I'm the toughest female you've ever seen, I assured him. You're hired then. Take the counter. It was my 14th birthday, and I took to waitressing like a hungry trucker tackles a T-bone. That job was the biggest birthday present I'd ever gotten, next to getting my name changed legally when I was 12. I've had 3 waitressing jobs over the last 2.5 years. Slung hash from Pensacola to Brooklyn. Made money that most teenagers only dream about. Brooklyn was the best place yet. And now I've got to leave. You ready? My Aunt Addie asked me the question. We were standing by the boarded up windows of what had once been the greatest diner in Brooklyn. The blue box was shut up like a tomb. You couldn't see the green vinyl booths by the windows or the big oval counter that sat in the middle of the place like the center ring in a circus. There weren't any whiffs of stuffed pork tenderloin with apricots, or country meatloaf with garlic mashed potatoes, or Addie's famous cinnamon ice cream dripping down that deep dish apple pie of hers, with crust so buttery it would bring cab drivers to their knees in pure reverence. Anyone from Brooklyn knows cab drivers don't bow the knee for much. The sun the sign wasn't lit up like it had been for those sweet 18 months that Addie had been chief cook and part owner with Gleason Beale, slime scourge of the earth. I stood there remembering how Gleason had stolen the money from the cash register one night, how he'd cleared out the business bank account and headed off for parts unknown with Charlene, the night waitress, and our money. We'd limped by for a few months on what we made daily, but when the furnace died, $10,000, and the roof started leaking, $4,000, and the monthly bills came due, we were toast. Addie had to close the place down before the bill collectors did. Bill collectors are like cheap tippers. They always leave bad feelings behind. I touched the boarded up windows. I'd invented a sandwich here when I was 15. The Keep Hoping. It had layers of smoked turkey, sun-dried tomatoes, fresh mozzarella, and chopped salads with red wine vinaigrette on a sourdough roll. People ordered it like mad, too, because hope is something that everyone needs. It was the sandwich for our time. I took out my blue pen and wrote "Hope Was Here" in tiny letters on one of the boards. Hope is my name. Whenever I leave a place, I write this real small someplace significant just to make the statement that I'd been there and made an impact. I've never defaced anything, never carved it into a tree or painted it on a sidewalk or a street sign. I wrote "Hope Was Here" in a half-inch tall letters above the rotating dessert case at the Ballyhoo Grill back in South Carolina before we moved to New York. It's one of the ways I said goodbye to a place. I've had tons of practice doing that. I'm ready, I said. Addie squared her shoulders. Let's do it. We walked across the street to the old Buick that was packed to the hilt with everything we owned and had a U-Haul trailer changed to the back. It was May 26th. We were heading to Mulhoney, Wisconsin to start work in a diner there that needed a professional manager and cook. Addie was short on waitresses, me, and was giving us an apartment. The man we were going to work for had been diagnosed with leukemia and needed help fast. I don't mean to sound generous, but working for a close to dying man didn't sound like a great career move to me. I had to leave school right before the end of my undistinguished sophomore year, too. I hate leaving places I love. We were about to get into the car just as Morty the cab driver double parked his yellow taxi. Good old Morty. The first time I waited on him, he unloosened his belt a notch before he even looked at the menu. I knew I had a true believer. I raised my hand to a great tipper. You always took care of me, kid. He shouted this from across the street as a UPS truck started honking at him to move his cab. I tried, Morty. Wherever you go, you'll do okay. You got heart. The UPS driver screamed something heartless at Morty, who screamed back, Watch your mouth, big man in a brown truck. I didn't know what kind of customers I get in Wisconsin. Miriam Leahy, one of my 2 best friends, had given me a New York Forever t-shirt as a goodbye present and said solemnly, There's a lot of cheese where you're going, Hope. I'm not sure how this affects people long term. Wear this shirt and remember who you are. Miriam straightened her faux leopard vest, flipped back the 5 earrings dangling from her right lobe, and hugged me hard. We got in the car. Addie started up. "On to greener pastures," she said, and drove the Buick forward. It groaned with the weight of the U-Haul as we headed down Atlantic Avenue, the best place I'd ever known in my whole life. She grabbed my hand and gave it a squeeze. Addie never promised that life would be easy, but she did promise that if I hung with her, the food would be good.